Hi, this is Jamie Norvell, artist. She owns a online business, proprietor, and she teaches art journaling. And she's been painting for well over 10 years. And I'm just going to ask her a few questions about what we do. And she teaches all levels in her journaling classes. And I'm wondering, what's the most common questions that you are hearing?
Probably specific to art journaling is just how do I get started? Kind of what are the materials? What do I use? Do I have to get all the expensive things? There are so many things, I'm overwhelmed, those kinds of things, because I'm usually teaching beginning, people that are just kind of getting started.
Yeah. Do you have people that like seem they have a little fear? They have some fear. Some of my people did.
I don't know that it's fear so much as they just don't know where to get started, and they don't know how to use the materials, so they don't want to spend the money on the materials if they don't know how to use them, and so
just a little overwhelmed, maybe, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you ever like I don't know, get people that seem to think they're not creative and they need confidence building?
Sure. When I taught high school, so I had high school students from 9th grade to 12th grade come in, mostly because they had to have an art credit, right? So they didn't necessarily choose to be there. They may have had some kind of interest, but a lot of them were there just because they needed the credit. So on the first day, they would come in and they would say things. I taught a drawing class. So they would say things like, I can't draw. And I said, well, good, that's why you're here. You don't go into algebra knowing how to do algebra. And so I just kind of let them know that that's what I'm here for, is to teach you how to do that. As far as like the classes that I do now and like the in-person classes and things like that, they're mainly adults. So I can tell when they're nervous. And I try to do different things to kind of alleviate some of that so they're not as nervous. So the first thing is, it's a painting class if I'm doing an in-person class, and I draw the image on there for them.
Yes.
So I explain to them that's taking away one of the anxieties of that they have to draw it on there, that they have to create it on there.
Yeah.
And then if they start getting anxious about, seeing a finished painting, I reassure them I'm going to take you step by step.
Yeah.
So then that kind of takes away that too. And then I kind of tell them, usually they're there with friends, they're there with people that they know. They're there because, they wanted to have an experience. They wanted and I explained to them that my goal is for you to leave with something that you're proud of painting, but the purpose of this is to have fun. So as long as you're having fun, you're fulfilling the purpose of this experience. The bonus is that you get to leave with something that you are proud of, that you love, that, but really it's about the experience and having fun and just learning some new things and not expecting to be perfect on the very first time if you've never painted before.
Yeah. I tell them it's like if you have a photo, it's like a memory too.
Yeah.
A lot of them look back, because I look back at that painting that I had and I remember the group of girls I used to work with, or, it's a fun thing. So now we teach a lot of self-taught artists. And what do you think about that? Do you think everybody needs some kind of teaching degree or, art background or MFA or any of that kind of stuff?
No, definitely not, because I think that it's something that you can learn how to do. Now, there may be people who, have more of a natural ability.
Yep.
But I don't think that means that you can't be taught to learn how to be more creative and then trust your own personal style to come out as you practice. So when I was teaching high school, there was one of the art teachers, she went on maternity leave, and she had somebody come in and sub for her who was an artist. So she thought this will be no problem. He'll come in and he'll have the experience and well, his degree was actually in in literature, like in English. He was an English teacher, English
a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he came over to me like the second day. He goes, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you teach them to be
Teaching is
creative.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he realized that just because he had the ability doesn't mean that you can also teach it.
Yes.
So I think it goes both ways. I think that you can teach it and not have, all the degrees and the credentials and things like that too. Now, having experience, I think, is where, it makes a difference. So I had ceramics classes when I taught high school, and I had potter's wheels. So I intellectually knew how to use a potter's wheel, and I could tell them the steps of how to use it. But until I sat down and really learned how to work on the potter's wheel myself, I really couldn't help them through any problems that they had. I couldn't help them, navigate any kind of, trying to fix things, because all I could do was kind of like read from the book and say, well, it says right here to do this. So
yeah, that's something I've always wanted to learn, how to throw some clay. I monkey around with the little stuff, but I always want to do that.
Yeah, it's an experience. I always told my students to keep the very first thing that they created on the potter's wheel.
Yeah.
It was usually awful, right? And they're like, no, I don't want to keep it. And I said, but then that way you'll have something to compare as you practice and get better. And so they would compare the two things after they had some practice. And I think that it could be the same with a drawing, a painting, and
I kept some of mine. Someone told me that a long time ago, and every now and then I like come across it in the attic or something, like, oh my God, I thought it was fantastic.
Right. Yeah. And I do think that some of that is just a confidence thing. And, I believe that we're all creative. And at about age 9 or 10 in school, we're forced really to be more left-brained, more analytical. We've got to, follow, and we've got to read the books and, do the testing and all this kind of stuff. And so at about that age, if you don't have someone encouraging you to be creative, if you haven't figured out time to set aside to be creative and you have that nurtured, it kind of like goes dormant for a while. And then it's hard as an adult if you went all those years without, or even worse, somebody says something negative to you at that age. And then
it takes one,
and then you remember that and you think, well, I'm not a good artist because, they said so-and-so was better than I was. And, or, they criticized me for coloring out of the lines, or, and you remember those things. And as adults, some, kids have no problem being creative.
Kids are wonderful. They have they're like out there. They are ready. I need red, But, I didn't read till I was in 5th grade. Now I'm wondering about that because I got the right teacher, Mrs. Lewis. She walked me down to the 3rd grade teacher, said, why is this child not reading? She should be reading. So she flashcarded me to death, and I still write everything down, in my head.
Yeah, I think that it's about that age somewhere.
But, the math and stuff didn't come to it. And then by the time I hit 6th grade, though, I was like college level. But see, I had the right teacher. See, it does make difference.
I think it does. Somebody who nurtures and
you got to encourage them because that is a problem. I wasn't encouraged. My mother had 10 kids too.
I didn't know that. Oh my goodness.
Busy. So she didn't have time to sit there and do flashcards. So she kept me after school. But Jamie, this has been great, and I think you're a great teacher. As I hooked up on one of your courses, which I think I might just do that right now because I am tired from all this learning. My brain's like, let me 65.
Sometimes you need a break from all of that.
We got like 8 weeks up to summer tops, maybe. You're what, in Illinois?
I'm in Ohio.
Ohio, it's the same.
Yeah.
There's not much. So I'm gonna just promote some more classes and stuff. But it was great. I had a lot of fun doing this. And
thank you.
I know you get another class at 1:00, so I'm gonna cut it short. I haven't figured out everything I need to do. This is my first official Zoom. I did another one, but I didn't hit record.
Oh.
So she's gonna do it again. But
it's all part of learning.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to edit. I looked at. Have you seen? They got a thing on here called Whiteboard now.
Yes, I have seen that.
Very interesting. I'm not sure how to do it, but they got a drawing thing, and I drew the numbers in on the whiteboard and stuff. So you could use it for like a class thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So it was nice talking to you again, and I will see you on the other side.
Okay. Thanks so much, Diana.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's push this button. There we go. And meet.